And welcome back to Hero Power. This is episode 52. And this week we have got a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna try to keep these two yahoos moving at a pretty good clip. So guys, as always, I'm your host, Avantes. And as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Zerotio.
Hey, gang.
And Thrall.
Hey.
Forsica.
Blood and Thunder.
No, there you go. That's what I like.
Or Doomhammer.
All right.
So somebody rage quit his camera. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Before we jump into this week, Zerotio, or not Zerotio, Forsica, tell us a little bit about Viforce.
So, one of the things that we've not really talked about much is actually Viforce's website navigation. And earlier, actually it wasn't earlier this week. It was end of week last week. My wife and I sat down, and I was showing her the differences between some of the computers that Viforce had to offer. And I was moving back and forth between overview and specifications, and she kind of stopped me, and she's just like, I want you to tell the guys at Viforce just how much I appreciate their website. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. She goes, as someone who doesn't have a clue as to what you are talking about right now, at least I can see, and it's not going back and forth between pages and confusing me even more. And yeah, so it's like, wow, I've not even talked about that. So if you haven't been to Viforce's website, go to www.heropowerhs.com, click on the Viforce link, go in there and just kind of look around. And I think you'll be surprised at how easy it is to find exactly what you're looking for, and how easy it is to contact them and get more information on exactly what you're looking for. So after the show, make sure to check it out and just do some windows shopping. Did you see what I did there?
Nice.
Forsica pun. Wow, I'm amazed.
All right. So before we jump into the news, we did get an email this week, and I was going to read it on the show, given if Heroic Brawl dropped today. It didn't. We'll talk about that a little more. So, Dusharmo, I will read your email, but I'm going to put it off another week. I'm going to read it next week when we actually expect Heroic Brawl to drop, since that's the gist of your email. In place of that, Zerotio, you had a pretty big week last week, or between the last time we did the show and tonight. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did this weekend?
Yes, I did. I was on this week's episode of HearthCoach, and if you have not gone and checked out Fred and Dan over at HearthCoach, definitely do so. But their episode 91 just went live today on iTunes, and I think on Google Play and all those different places. And the reason I was on this week is because they have a patron tournament, very similar to what we plan on starting up in January. And this is their third patron tournament. I've been a patron of HearthCoach pretty much since they started opening their patronage. And any patron of $5 or more gets to compete in this tournament. And I did pretty well the first one. Came in second, and I didn't do too hot on the second one, but this time I decided I would buck up and try, and I won.
Woo! Congratulations.
I took the whole thing. I actually had to beat the champion of the first HearthCoach tournament, and so now we're 1-1, and I throw the gauntlet down for the next patron tournament for the previous champion and runner-up, Juvento. Let's throw down on Patron Tournament 4, and I invite all you other guys to go patron to them and join us in the tournament. It's a lot of fun. There are cash prizes, and sometimes some other prizes are thrown in there. I also got an hour of coaching that I will be getting from Fred, who competed in Pinnacle last year. So it's it's a lot of fun. So It's a big feather in my cap. It's actually my second major podcast sponsored tournament win, so I'm really happy about that.
Awesome. So, with that said, we mentioned on episode 50, if you guys hadn't heard or are not familiar with, we are also going to start hosting the Hero Power Hearthstone Invitational in January, and it is going to be a live streamed Hearthstone tournament for our patrons. So if you guys have thought about joining us, $5 a month gets you an automatic entry into the event. You don't have to worry about anything else, and it is going to be shoutcasted by Zerotio and Versika, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and there are also going to be cash prizes. So
yes.
Yeah, so if you guys are looking to get into a little more competitive stuff or want to just come and have fun, check it out. You can find out more info at patreon.com/heropower. Versika, did you do anything this weekend?
Oh yeah, I got to host my first fireside as innkeeper, so that was pretty cool. Avanti's got to play for once, but he ended up like coming in and like I'd be like writing down the results, and he's already like I got it. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be playing.
Force a habit.
he just couldn't help it. No, actually. That was cool, but I also got to watch. I got to watch RDU and Eloise and Colento and oh, dang it, what's his name? Something Chuk.
Oh,
it's his nemesis out in China. But I got to watch them play. I got to watch them play Best of 17, Last Hero Standing, and that was a lot of fun. Thoroughly enjoyed watching that. It started early. Like my little Twitter alert went off, and I'm just like, good Lord, it's like I'm getting up for work. But I came down, I made I made my coffee, and I was up for 3 hours before anyone else even cracked like I was looking at my friends list, and there was nobody. Like I was it. I was the only person on. Like I've not seen that in a long time.
Well, cool. Yeah. So if you guys aren't familiar with that event that Versika was talking about, Best of 17, you have to win with one of every class.
You have to have all classes. Like there's no bans. So it's Last Hero Standing. So if you run the table with Disco Lock, then you don't have to play the other classes.
Okay.
You have to play it, like the person that loses will have had to have played every class, and the person that wins will have had to have beaten every class.
Gotcha.
Wow,
so,
okay.
It's pretty awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds like it. All right, so let's jump right into the news. This week we have a lot to cover. First up, on Friday, Blizzard dropped patch 6.2.0, which included Murloc changes and new daily quests. Now, I'd said on Friday that I was going to actually call this episode Murgle, which means don't nerf me, bro. But a lot of people online told me that this isn't a nerf for Murlocs.
No.
So, I guess it's just how you look at it. See, I looked at it as if you're playing Murloc versus Murloc, your Murlocs are going to be huge because they're buffing all Murlocs. Now, the Murlocs aren't going to be as big because they're only getting buffs from you. I consider that a bit of a nerf because they're not as big as they were.
Yes, but you also have to remember on the coin side of that is while your Murlocs are getting big because of the buffs, your opponent's Murlocs are getting big because of your buffs. So now it's only one-sided, and your opponent can't take advantage of your benefits. So to me, I wouldn't say it's a buff. It's just a way to change it. Now, you're not going to be able to get any dust value from dusting any of these Murlocs. But this kind of goes into possible future changes and announcements at BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of excited. Now, Also, in addition to this, they added a ton, and I mean a ton, of new quests. The big thing is most of these quests, actually, I think all of the new quests don't involve winning your match.
Yes,
They're
that's
quests
correct.
like play a certain number of beasts, play a certain number of murlocs, play a certain number of class cards of each of the 9 classes. So it's really it's almost like some of these changes are bringing the fun back in Hearthstone and reminding people while this is a competitive esport and it's taking off very well as an esport, you still at its core it's a video game and you want to have fun.
Yes. I'll tell you what, I actually have gotten a couple of these quests already. Yesterday I had Tiny Bubbles Make Me Happy, which is play 10 Divine Shield minions, and I had a blast. I built a Paladin deck with nothing but Divine Shield minions in it, and it was so much fun. And I just went out, I went into casual, played like 2 games to play all my 10 Divine minions, and was done. It was the easiest 50 gold I've ever made.
You, sir, have a weird opinion of fun.
I got the quest. I actually got 2 different quests. One to do, I think, 30, and the other to do 50 priest cards. So I tried to play as many shifting shades as I could in one game. I actually was able to do 28 priest cards in one game, which is pretty amazing in a 30-card deck that's not all priest. So, yeah, that was fun.
There you go. They also are introducing some new achievements. One is called Return of the Hero, and if you have to defeat 3 AI challengers, then they have one called Ready for Action, which is play 30 cards in play mode, and one called Back in the Game, which is deal 100 damage to enemy heroes. Now, there's a kind of an asterisk here that says it seems that users need to have not actually played Hearthstone for quite a few months for these new achievements to trigger.
Not necessarily quite a few months. I've not been on my EU account in 2 weeks, and it triggered when I logged into my EU account.
Okay.
So
now is that your EU account that's also your main NA account?
No,
or is it a separate account?
I have a separate account that I play solely on the European servers in Heroes, and Hearthstone.
Okay.
Cool. I might try this on my secondary account. I haven't tried it on my EU side account or on my secondary account, which I made a long time ago. I don't think I've been in it in a year, so that may be something worth trying.
All right, so they also introduced 6 new achievements called Hail Champion, which grant a pack each time your chosen champion at BlizzCon wins a match. So this is tied to something they released last Thursday called Choose Your Champion, where you go in, you pick one of the 16 Hearthstone players to represent you at BlizzCon, and basically every time they win a match, you get a pack. It's pretty simple. You also get a pack just for picking a champion. So, Zerotio, who's your champion?
I know it's a long shot, but I picked Tice because like 85% of the Hearthstone community has picked Tice.
You wanted those like guaranteed 2 or 3 packs, right?
He's the golden boy, and everybody loves Tice. Okay, come on.
Versika, who's your champion?
On my NA account, I picked BB Gun Gun, and on my EU account, I went with Pavel.
Well, congratulations, sir. You are at least 1 pack richer as of today.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. I actually was kind of tossed up. I didn't know who I really wanted. I had considered picking Pavel because I felt like Group D was probably going to be the easiest group to come out of. We kind of talked a little bit about the guys last week, so you can go back and listen to episode 51 if you want to know our thoughts on the individual players. But when it came to crunch time and I had to finally pick a champion, I picked Tice.
Of course you did.
Free packs.
Everybody loves Tice. Nobody dislikes Tice. He's great.
All right, so moving on in our news.
Theory time.
Let's theory craft for a second. We got a couple of hints dropped on the Play Hearthstone Twitter this week. The first was a beautiful postcard from Gadget Zan, followed by some other news.
There is nothing beautiful about Gadget Zan.
I love that
Let's
city.
just go ahead and throw that out there.
I loved Gadget Zan. You and I spent
even the
music
is ugly. And yeah, you're right. But I was very ugly in Gadget Zan. What happens in Gadget Zan stays in Gadget Zan.
There you go. Then just day before yesterday, I think it was Monday, they dropped the newsletter, which had a link that would take you to the Play Hearthstone Facebook chat.
Okay, before we get into the Facebook chat, what they came out with is Gadget Stand Gazette, and it was a well-written, and we have the link in the show notes, and you can go to that and check that out. But it was well-written, well thought out, a lot of little teasers and speculation points in it, and then there was a little set of advertisements on the bottom, and one of them was for Talon's Bar, and it gave you a link that was blizz.ly/Talon's Bar, and that's TALANSBAR. When you went to that link, it took you to a chat bot in Facebook Messenger that actually lets you talk to it and give you automated responses. And you can follow the links and check it out yourself, but it is extremely detailed. You could ask all kinds of questions. I did ask it about the new expansion, and it gave me something about an expansion of the city of Gadgetstan. It was kind of funny. But you could actually dig for more details. And there's a lot of kind of theories in that little set of dialogue that you got from the chatbot. And in that, you can actually get some information about some kind of like turf war going on in Gadgetstan. So I think there's going to be maybe an expansion called Gangs of Gadgetstan, or Mobs.
Yeah, I mean, it's so if you're familiar with goblins in the game, there's 3 distinct factions in World of Warcraft that kind of try to war with each other over, pretty much everything because they're goblins. But why don't you tell them what you found when you did your internet sleuthing this week?
Okay, so along with some help with some other sources, we found some details that GoDaddy has registered www.gadgetzan.com. Now, this kind of falls in line, and if you do a whois.net search, it looks very similar to the same kind of profile we saw in Karazhan. Now, some other sources was able to get a little deeper and have used some tools to find out that gadgetzan.com is actually registered to Blizzard Entertainment. Yeah, here it comes. So it's confirmed that it's registered to Blizzard Entertainment. So, and of course, a lot of people went through and made sure that it was exactly Blizzard Entertainment and followed their copyright, and somebody didn't leave an E out or exchange an E for an I or something to make it look like it's Blizzard Entertainment. And again, this isn't confirmed by Blizzard, but it's a fairly reputable source on the internet through whois.net. So it kind of lines up with all the Gadgetzan teasers. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some theories. If you go to the Gadgetzan Gazette and you read it, it said it is volume 32, number 7.
Yes.
Now, what's that mean? One of our patrons and regular listeners, Matt at Arms, speculated that November just happens to be the 32nd ranked season since rank play has been brought into existence. Mm-hmm. Could it be that it's going to be released the 7th day of the 32nd season, which would be November 7th.
That would be 2 days after BlizzCon.
Yeah, see, and that's another thing, is it lands on a Monday. Now, a lot of people say that's not going to happen because they release their stuff on Tuesday. No, they customarily release their stuff at 11:59 that Monday, Pacific Standard Time, which ends up rolling out to most of the world and the rest of the United States on Tuesday. So, and a lot of their other release dates actually had the date of that Monday, not Tuesday. Of course, it's playable on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So I think for the first time, we're going to get a full expansion without a release of all the cards immediately, like over the course of time. We're going to get it immediately. They're going to tell us at BlizzCon, it's releasing Tuesday. Here's the link to all the cards. Check them out. Have fun.
Yes, I think they'll talk about the cards at BlizzCon. They'll show us some. They'll give us the link to look at them, and then boom, it'll be out. I'm really excited, guys. This is new content. I'm always excited for new content, and can't wait to see what's coming. So
my mind is blowing on what could be in the new set, but I'm going to hold that till next week.
Okay,
and give some BlizzCon predictions.
So I just one question. We've already had goblins versus gnomes. Mm-hmm. Are you guys, if this is Gadget Zan and it is a goblins expansion, aren't you guys just a little bit disappointed that we're going back to goblins?
No, and the reason is because this. And at first, if you would have just said goblins and the different cartels, which are Steamweedle Cartel, the Venture Company, and the Bilgewater cartel, then I probably would have said yes. But seeing some of the teasers and some of the pictures, they seem to be focusing more on the city itself and the bank structure and the town. And also, there are a lot of ogre and Pandaren references and pictures. So I think they're not really going to focus so much on just the goblins. They're going to focus on the multiple races within the different cartels.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see a lot of ogres, a lot of fun stuff.
One of the main ogres in there is pretty neat. He was in a nice suit and all this. He's the bank proprietor,
the new bank manager. Yep.
The other side of the ogre is wearing a vest and he's like the thug. And it's kind of cool. It's like his bodyguard is attached to his hip. It's kind of funny.
I guess I'm looking at it and this is our 4th expansion. It's going to be yet another expansion around goblins. I mean, you've not even really touched Cenarian Circle. You've not touched Earthen Ring, Knots of Tritzfall. You've not touched any of the undead, really, other than the brief little adventure in Nax. But even then, that was like a small little faction of undead over here. You've not done any of the trolls. You've not talked about the Zondalari or the... You've not delved into really any of the Tauren stuff or any of the dwarves. I mean, dwarves are tailor-made expansion. I mean, there's not a whole lot you have to do there. I'm a little disappointed if it's going back to goblins, that we're getting goblins this soon after goblins versus gnomes.
Hearing you mention all of that stuff makes me really excited for all the future expansions we're going to be getting.
Yeah. And that's my point, is this really gets me excited about the future expansions. Now, I do have kind of a theory on this as well. We just finished Whispers of the Old Gods. The next logical step is Titans. Well, one of the major landmarks that was created by the Titans before they left Azeroth was Uldum. Uldum is in Daenerys, which is the location of
beside Daenerys.
Yes, but you get to it off of Daenerys, and that is where Gadget Zan is.
What about?
But didn't we kind of explore that a little bit in League of Explorers? A little bit of Uldum in League of Explorers.
We did. You did.
Was it Uldum or was it?
Yeah, it was Uldum.
It was Uldum.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what else is in Daenerys is the Cavern of Time.
Ah. That would draw. That's not so much Titans, so much though.
Maybe they're not. Maybe it's not tied to the last expansion.
But I tell you, and I know Brian Kibler would go crazy about this. But if we did Caverns of Time. Oh my gosh, Dragon expansion.
Well, Max in chat was saying he said he's wondering if it was going to be like just Tanaris, with like the trolls from Zulamon or not Zulamon.
Zul'Farrak.
Help me out, Zul'Farrak, and pirates and a few of the Silithid and a new Nosdormu. That when you pitch it in that light, that sounds a little bit more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that because obviously they're focusing on some of these new quests with this new patch on tribes. And I think tribes may be brought into light a little bit more. And pirates would definitely be a good one. Maybe a whole set of tribes on Silithid. I was hoping for something around Ulduar and maybe some tribes on the Valkyr. But the Kvaldir, that's what I'm thinking of. The Kvaldir, but a new Nosdormu would be super exciting.
Zerotio's Pirates versus Ninjas confirmed. All right, moving on.
Yes, once again confirmed for the 18th time.
Just a chance to plug a card. I talked about the Fireside, if you were there, that I pulled Nosdormu out of one of my starter packs on my EU account.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked him into it's a Shaman deck, of course, that I'm playing over there, and he's actually been the MVP. Once he hits down, if they don't have elimination for him, they just go crazy. Like, it is so, like, they just start to fall apart. So if you're looking to add just like a little bit of touch of excitement, like if it's kind of gotten stale for you or something, craft Nosdormu and try to work him into a couple of decks. I think you'll be surprised at how much fun he is to actually play.
Yeah, I've been beaten by Nosdormu recently because they just put it down at the right time, and I have to rush my math. I have to think quickly on trades. I then have to decide, do I want to eliminate Nosdormu so I have more time to think? And that may actually make me make unfavorable trades. Now he's a heavy card because he's so much mana. Was it 9 mana?
It's 9 mana.
He's a really heavy card, but if you can get him out, I've actually seen Nosdormu in some Barnes centered decks that are more kind of aggro centric. That basically you're just going to go face. They throw Barnes down. If they have the chance to get Nosdormu, then they just run all their damage to face and try to rush the opponent.
Yeah.
Normally, what I would do is I would use Nosdormu to set up Ysera, so they would waste the elimination on Nosdormu. But what I've actually been doing is playing my Ysera first, so that they waste the elimination on Ysera, and then throw down Nosdormu, and they don't have anything they can't get rid of him. So it's been fun. Just a tidbit, just something kind of different that's happening on my other account because I don't have quite the collection that I do on my NA account. So every card has a little more value. Just something that I'd like to throw out there.
AC in chat says, new Nosdormu. Deal 1 damage to the enemy hero for every 5 seconds they take before ending their turn. This is the anti-rope coach card.
All right, guys, let's move along. Today, Blizzard dropped some news on us that they are changing the way the HCT works. So this year, in 2016, they introduced the Hearthstone Championship Tour, and they created Standard, which debuted with the inaugural Year of the Kraken. Well, 2017 is going to introduce us to a new year, and they're also introducing us to a new system. So basically, it's going to work like this. The Global Season Championships, they want to see more global clashes throughout the year. So they've combined the Regional Season Championships into a Global Season Championship. Each of these global championships next year will take place at a select host region and will be held in venues that you can attend to cheer on your favorite competitors. They will have season playoffs. The regional season prelims have been replaced with regional season playoffs. Each of the 4 regions will send 4 representatives to the season championships each season. Each season playoff will use Swiss format and continue to include local tavern heroes, but they'll be more competitive to qualify for and include deeper prizing to reward more participation.
Wow.
Now, this is what I found interesting. The championships will be synced to standard. We'd like to keep the tournament meta fresh and exciting, so we will work toward aligning the tournaments with our standard year and its associated content releases. What this means for next year is that each of the global season championships will take place during its own content cycle. This also means the next World Championships will take place at the end of the upcoming standard year in early 2018. That means there will be no World Championship at BlizzCon next year. It'll probably take place in February or March, right before the season changes in 2018.
Right before the year changes.
Yeah, right before the year changes.
Right.
So
we're moving
mean...
from Year of the Kraken into whatever we're moving into this year. So when we change from whatever we move into this year to whatever we're moving to year after,
yes,
is when they'll have the championship.
Correct.
So does this mean that they're still going to have Hearthstone esports in the form of these regional world championships?
Yes.
Still, or are they omitting it completely?
So it sounds like they're going to have regional season playoffs, where you'll go and compete in a Swiss format in these playoffs, and the winners will then go to compete in the regional season championships.
So instead of it just being like NA prelims, it's going to be just one weekend, all the regions competing in one event, and then they move on to the championship instead of having like 3 weekends of prelims, and then okay.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be. I personally am a huge fan of Swiss format. I like it better than double elimination. I'm really excited to see how this changes things.
Does this mean they're going to put more focus on the Tavern Championships? Since
sounds like they're going to put less focus on the Tavern.
Well, it says the Tavern Heroes are still going to be taking place. They're just going to be more competitive to qualify for.
It sounds like that they're going to open up the schedule for more Tavern Hero qualifiers, thus making the Tavern Hero Championships that much more grandiose.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see, because they don't really give any more information on that in this article.
Instead of having like 32 Tavern Hero champions go to a tournament, they probably may only have like 4 or 8, but they're going to be true Tavern Hero champions. Right. They're going to be Tavern Heroes that have competed on multiple levels and won their respective Tavern Hero tournaments.
Yeah,
which I like that, because that actually brings the cream of the crop up out of the Tavern Hero ranks. Those that don't have time necessarily to do the ladder or do these open tournaments.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next, points and cups. They're going to be adjusting the amount of points earned from tournaments and ranked play to be more evenly distributed and include more players. They're also making improvements to the cup system. Hearthstone competitive points from ranked play begins with the November standard ranked play season next month. So you'll be able to start earning points again next month.
All right, Max. So I think Max asked that a couple of weeks back, didn't he? About when the new points would start. I think we told him January, but that is not the case now. They will start in November.
Yeah.
So if they're going to make any changes to the ladder to accommodate the system, they'll make it in November.
Right. I doubt ladder changes are going to be coming anytime soon. I think they're looking at it. I think they realize that they've got an issue there. But I think at this point, if you don't think it through, and if you don't evaluate what this next changeover to standard is going to do, because pretty much think of it in terms of college football. Standard is the new coach. You bring your new coach in. You can't fire him after a year and say that what he does doesn't work. You have to give him a chance to actually implement his program and then go through that first recruiting class to see how it works out. Well, standard is going to kind of go along the same way. We have to wait for this first full cycle of standard to go through and then see what its real, honest to goodness, 100% effect on the meta is. And I think then you can go in and you can start playing around with your ladder changes. Anything that you do before then, I think you're just going to have to go back and fix as unforeseen, not consequences, but unforeseen events happen as you change over from one standard year to another, because we've not really gone through that yet.
Okay.
So we'll be going through that for the first time in April.
Yeah.
So March or April. So I think they'll evaluate that, and then I think you'll get to see. I think they'll end up doing a full restructuring of the ladder.
I hope so, because it's really. I don't mind that it takes a grind to get to Legend, but you don't really, even if you don't have pretty much 8 hours a day, you don't get enough time on the Legend ladder to solidify yourself.
Right.
A lot of players like me that actually can eventually get Legend with their level of play, but have to put so many hours into it, but don't have that time every day. By the time we get to Legend, we only have like a day or two to do any Legend grind, so we'll never get any points.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the other things they announced, and these are both kind of exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. The first is the Hearthstone Global Games. They say, we love seeing the passion of players rooting on their fellow players, particularly their local tavern heroes. We also love the cooperation, collaboration, and camaraderie that emerges from team-based competitions. The Hearthstone Global Games aims to scratch this competition itch and will feature teams of players from various countries battling it out weekly in a global league. Each team in the HGG will consist of the top Hearthstone competitive point earners from their country and 3 of their fellow community-voted country persons. Cheer on competitors from your country like never before.
This is very similar to what they've done in the first competitive season of Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
I like this. They've been making some changes to the Heroes of the Storm competitive leagues, and actually talking about having the top teams be paid and keep that competitive. They're doing these community-driven competitive Overwatch teams, and I've been thinking, what are they going to do for Hearthstone? They got to do something, and especially with all these great minds coming from ESPN executives and Fox Sports executives coming into Blizzard's esports teams. I was really excited to see what they did with Hearthstone, and I like this.
Yeah. So the other thing they're doing is called the Hearthstone Invitational.
Double N?
Invitational. Looking for a more light-hearted viewing experience? We've got you covered with the Hearthstone Invitational. This series of exhibitions will showcase a variety of fun Hearthstone formats with some of your favorite Hearthstone personalities. Among the invitees will be popular streamers, winners of major tournaments, and celebrities. When a Hearthstone Invitational rolls around, you won't want to miss the zany antics or playful banter that might ensue.
If Firebat's not brought into this with his Batstone, I'll be totally surprised.
I tell you what, somebody else mentioned this may be where we actually start to get to see some wild play.
Ooh.
Maybe. But we talked about that. When Standard dropped, we said eventually we're going to start seeing some wild tournaments, that it won't be the main format, but that they would be missing they would be missing the boat if they didn't do some wild tournaments.
Right. And, I mean, we could also maybe see some Tempo Storm-like sealed deck tournaments. That would be fun, I think. So.
Well, and, for those who didn't quite get Zerotio's reference earlier, today, about 4 hours ago, Josh Burry reported that Blizzard was going to commit $3.2 million in player compensation for Heroes of the Storm Pro League. Each team that competes in both of the phases of the season, there's 2 phases. There's like a winter and a summer style type events. And if you compete in both phases, then each HOTS team will receive a minimum of $100,000. So at 5 players, that's approximately $20,000 a player. Now that's a minimum. They can earn more, and that doesn't count prize pools either.
Interesting.
So, and if you've been following HOTS at all, you'll know that as far as like the NA side of it, it's been a dumpster fire of people just not being able to stay in the game. Rosters can't stabilize because people can't afford to play it without some form of currency. You got to earn your living, and if you can't play 8 hours a day, you're not going to stay competitive. So this is Blizzard jumping in and saying, all right, this is our esport. We started it. We created it. We pushed it. And now we're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going to jump in and stabilize it. I think it's a great move by Blizzard, and I think you're going to start seeing this in some of their other esports.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I've been looking forward to is I know there's going to be a lot of Hearthstone news, but I was really excited to see what they announced at Hearthstone when it comes to the fireside gatherings as well as competitive esport compensation and how to keep players in the esport. Because we do see some Hearthstone teams that have fallen along the wayside. Some of the European teams, Team Archon kind of fell out of the competitive scene when Amaz got picked up by NRG, and of course there's been a recent acquisition of Amnesia to NRG. But most of those other players on the old Team Archon have not been picked up yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, speaking of teams and players, the Hearthstone World Championship started today. Today. So, we had the first day of group stages played, which basically was one match out of each group was played to determine winners and losers for the first part. And it was a great day of Hearthstone.
Yes.
I actually got to watch most of it. Had to explain to my boss what it was. That these guys were playing for millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars anyway. It's $1 million total prize.
The grand prize is $250,000.
Yeah.
$250,000.
One of my coworkers went, so is this like the Super Bowl of a video game? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Basically, the matches that we got to see today were Sidonia versus Handsome Guy, BB Gun versus Naaman, Dr. Hippie versus Breath, and Omega Zero versus Dahani. And all of them were great matches. Sidonia swept Handsome Guy 4-0.
Yeah, I suspected this. Sidonia is good. I personally don't believe he's as good as he thinks he is. But he's good. Handsome Guy was touted as being the best, one of the favorites to win this whole tournament because he won his respective prelim twice this year, which is unheard of. Now, and this is my own opinion, he did win the Asia Pacific region, and I believe the Asia Pacific region is the weakest of the four regions, including China. That's just my opinion. I don't think Handsome Guy is as good. I think he is the best player in Asia Pacific. I just don't think he's the best player at BlizzCon, and I wouldn't rank him in the top 4. So yeah, that's just my opinion.
What are your thoughts?
I think Handsome Guy is a very good player. I think the meta that he plays in is not as diverse as the meta like you would see as the meta is in say NA or Europe. So I don't think he is as prepared coming in perhaps as the American and European players. I think the Chinese meta is diverse enough that the Chinese players will be able to adapt fairly quickly. But I think going in, I think that North American and the European players have a little bit of an advantage over our Asian counterparts. And I think they're solid players. I think they're good players, and I think for one of the Asian players to win, I think is going to be a question of can they adapt to the meta swings, the meta swing that is coming from their region into this, where they're playing into that very established, very locked in NA and European meta. Which, when you take a look at those two metas, they aren't really that different. Europeans play them differently than the Americans do, but the meta itself is very, very established similarly in both regions. So if you play, I don't play in the Chinese, but I watch a lot of Chinese streaming. It's on when I get up in the mornings. Their meta is so different. And I just don't think these guys are used to playing with they're not used to playing against players who know 4 decks so inside and out and know how to navigate them in ways that counter pretty much anything they're bringing. So it's going to be interesting.
Just to clarify, Versika is talking about, when he talks about the Asian players, he means specifically the Asia Pacific region players and the China region players. He doesn't necessarily mean all Asian players,
right?
Because we do have some Asian Americans that did really well. Namely, the match between BB Gun Gun and Naaman.
Yes. And that's actually, it's one of the reasons why I chose BB Gun Gun is BB Gun Gun also plays in the Chinese and Asian Pacific regions, and he already has a grasp on what they like to do and how they like to do it. He also plays in the Americas, which gives him a grasp of this meta. So I think coming in, I think he's got the best understanding of the most recent of 3 of the 4 regions that's going to be playing. So
yeah, and that match actually was probably one of the best matches played today.
Yes.
BB Gun Gun pulled it out over Naaman in 7 games. They went all the way. And it was like you said, very good. And if you guys get a chance, go check out the twitch.tv/play Hearthstone and watch the VODs, because they're great matches.
And BB Gun Gun is a perfect example of somebody who can misplay in a high-pressure situation, identify that he misplayed, and then make the appropriate steps to correct those misplays in the same match to still win that match. And he said it himself, he made some misplays. And he did really well. It's good to say you misplayed 3 or 4 times and still won your best of 7.
Yeah, and I want to point out, Max in chat said it is entirely different metas. He says it's the same thing with CSGO, League of Legends, and StarCraft. One region is typically just so far ahead of the rest, and for once, with Hearthstone, it's the Americas that are actually the ones to beat. Which in esports is a big thing.
And last year, Europe was pretty far ahead of us. Now, the one weird thing about the different metas is that China's meta is very secluded because they do their own competitions mandated by themselves. They don't have the prelims and qualifiers like the other 3 regions. They mandate their own tournaments and decide their top 4 when it goes for the different seasons to go to BlizzCon. So because of that, you don't see a lot of that meta reach outside of the Chinese region, because some of those tournaments are not necessarily televised or publicized in the way that the other regions are. So these Chinese players kind of have a I don't want to say an advantage, but they have a different
surprise
type of
factor.
A surprise element in their deck building going forward. And you did see that in one of the players' decks, which we'll talk about here momentarily, Omega Zero.
Mm. I think a lot of it's language too, because the European nations, Western European nations, and the United States, and I guess the Americas in general, because they speak so many of the other Anglo languages. You get in, and Chinese is so different, and Japanese is so different, that it's hard to get into those metas and really dig into them, because you don't without a translation program, you can't see what's happening.
Yeah. So let's talk about match number 3 today, which was Dr. Hippie versus Breath. Now, Breath is one of those Chinese players we were just talking about. And this was probably, as good as the BB Gun Gun Naaman match was, this was probably my favorite match of the day. Mainly because Breath really shocked, I think, a lot of people. He came in, he was very calm, very controlled, and he played a great match of Hearthstone. In fact, this match came down to game 7. It was like turn 10. Both players were under 10 health, and they were playing Mirror Hunter matches. I mean,
Yes.
This game could have gone... Basically, it came down to this. If Breath draws a beast, he wins. If he doesn't draw a beast, Dr. Hippie wins. That is how good that match was.
And he drew one of the best draws you can get in that matchup, but not at that exact play, which was Leroy Jenkins.
Yes. Leroy was not what he needed at the moment. So
he could not get past the taunt.
Yeah, go check that match out. It was a lot of fun too.
Breath, I'm calling it now, out of his bracket, Breath is going to be the decider to move on to the next round.
Okay.
I think he will win the rest of the way out and go into the decider. I don't think he will have enough in him to get all the way to taking BlizzCon, because out of the Chinese region, I favor Omega Zero. Okay.
All right, well, let's talk about that, because the last match of the day was Omega Zero versus Dahani. That one went Omega Zero 4-1. Now, Dahani won the Spring Asia Pacific Championships. He was the first qualifier out of the Asia Pacific region. And Omega Zero basically, I would almost say, upsets him 4-1, because you would almost think he was the favorite. Dahani was the favorite in that match.
Well, Omega Zero is an innovator of the Chinese meta. Most of the Chinese meta that makes it out of the Chinese region are Omega Zero decks. The reason he's not popularized is because he puts a lot of very odd tech choices that a lot of players in the European and America side end up changing and swapping out to customize it for their playstyle. But going into tournaments, he's very good at identifying what tech cards to use, and he did really well. I think the biggest surprise in this matchup is Avanti's being able to say Dahani's name properly.
I practiced a lot before the show, I promise.
But because when this started, I told myself Omega Zero is going to take this. I expected a 4-0. 4-1's just as good.
Yeah. All right, Versika, you have anything to add?
Nope. Of course, you know who I'm rooting for to come out of that group. So.
Yeah.
We're going for BB Gun?
Yeah. I want my pack.
Right. And tomorrow, starting at noon Eastern or 1 o'clock Eastern, somewhere in there.
Noon Eastern.
So we're going to have round 2 of the of the group stages. So we're going to see
Tice.
We're going to see Jason Zhao versus Tice. We're going to see Cheonsu versus Hamster. We're going to see Amnesiac versus Yulsik, and we're going to see Pavel versus Hot Meowth.
My secret, for some reason, I really want the finals of BlizzCon to be Hamster versus Hot Meowth, just because I want to hear the casters say Hamster versus Hot Meowth 100 times.
We can't see Versika tonight, but I'm shaking my head for him.
Oh, you absolutely called that. I'm shaking my head.
I will say for today, the biggest surprise, and it's not necessarily one I liked, was Dr. Hippie's hair color. He went the orange, and he didn't go the right shade of orange, and I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I know it matches his jersey and all, but
yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to this week's Tavern Brawl, which is Captain Blackheart's Treasure. We've seen this one before. It's the Discover mechanic. Basically, you pick a class, and you're given a bunch of pirates, and then every turn you choose a class card out of the Discover mechanic. So
this saddens me. Because usually right before BlizzCon, you get a Tavern Brawl that's going to reveal some kind of mechanic you have coming in. If they go by what Ben Brode said, that means next week is the Heroic Tavern Brawl, which I'm excited for, but I wanted it this week, not only because I wanted to try it out, but because that would mean next week they could save a new mechanic that they could tease us before BlizzCon. Mm-hmm. So unless the Heroic Tavern Brawl is really an indicator of something new coming with the expansion, like a tournament mode, I'm going to be disappointed.
Okay. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I'm expecting big things from this BlizzCon. So, all right, that brings us to this week's deck. And in honor of Zerotio winning the HearthCoach Patreon tournament, we are actually taking a look at one of his decks that he used to win. It is Control Warrior. All right, so this deck list consists of 2 Shield Slams, 1 Acidic Swamp Ooze, 2 Executes, 2 Fiery War Axe, 2 Revenge, 1 Slam, 1 Acolyte of Pain, 2 Bash, 1 Ravaging Ghoul, 2 Shield Blocks, 1 Eater of Secrets, 1 Elise Starseeker, 1 Infested Taurens. 2 Infested Taurens, 2 Brawls, 2 Ironforge Portals, 1 Cairn, 1 Justicar, 1 Sylvanas, 1 Gorehowl, 1 Gromosh, and N'Zoth. So I guess my first question is, why Acidic Swamp Ooze over Harrison Jones?
Okay, and I've been given this question a lot. You really want to, with this style of non-aggressive Control Warrior, you are going to hold your removal to the premium points. A lot of times you might take a lot of damage so that you can actually get the full value out of Revenge. You're going to hold a lot of your turns for Brawl, waiting for the optimal board state for Brawl. Because of that, I found that Harrison Jones was used late game, sometimes when I had 8, maybe 9 cards in my hand, and it would cause me to overdraw. The optimal situation is using it on a fresh Spirit Clause, but then if it's a fresh Spirit Clause, you're probably going to draw 3 cards. If you have more than 6 cards in your hand, you're going to start burning cards. So it actually was a detriment because a lot of the times you're also going into fatigue, and you didn't want to be too far ahead or ahead at all on your opponent on fatigue. So you also have to pick your times to draw your cards. If you know you're against another control matchup, you need to maybe slow down on your card draw and not get too far ahead in your card draw against your opponent.
Okay. My next question is the tech of Eater of Secrets. Do you not feel like a 4-mana 2/4 against non-secret classes is a detriment?
No, and the reason I don't is because it actually works out really good against the Zoo matchup because it trades usually 2 to 1, and it's not terrible against the matchup against mid-range Shaman because a lot of times you might couple it with another removal for an Execute or something like that that's for a prime target without having to sacrifice one of your more higher value minions.
Also a great totem clear.
And it's perfect for totems. Sometimes I'll get 3 or 4 totems off of it. So it works out really well. And a lot of times it might be that last bit of chip damage you need to do to finish off, say, a Thunderbluff Valiant along with a Revenge or a Weapon Clear. So it works out really well as just another big-bodied minion. I actually like it better than Kezan Mystic because it has 4 health.
Okay, I was going to actually ask about Kezan Mystic, so... Okay.
Well, Kezan Mystic is in Wild.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So,
yes.
I thought you couldn't use it in Standard.
Okay.
No, the Kezan Mystic, if I'm not mistaken, is in Wild. Because it was GVG, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay. But I have done a Wild version of this, and I tried Kezan Mystic, and it just didn't fill the role properly.
Okay. All right. Cool. Zerotio, or not Zerotio, Versika, do you have any questions or thoughts on this deck?
This is a good tournament deck. When I tried to play it on the ladder, it had a little too much tech. So I ended up taking out the Iron Forge portals. I added a second Gorehow and a second Slam, and that gave me enough removal to really secure that end game and really get ready to make the best use out of N'Zoth, which I used as the finisher. Good, solid all around deck. You got to be patient. You have to realize your health is a resource, and you can't be afraid to get down low enough to use those revenges to their maximum potential.
Okay, cool.
I originally played this deck on the ladder, and I teched in Eater Secrets while playing the ladder because I was seeing a lot of the new Secret Hunter, as well as some variations of Freeze Mage, this new Freeze Mage Tempo Mage hybrid that uses a few secrets. And then when I tried it, I was like, I really like what Eater Secrets does here. In some cases, in those matchups, it ended up being another Elise Starseeker body, a 3/5 for 4. Mm-hmm. So it worked out really well.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to checking this out. So before we move on, Zerotio, do you have any last thoughts about this week's show so far?
I'm excited for BlizzCon. I'm excited for the esports events. I'm probably more excited for these group rounds than I am the actual convention as of right now. I really want some really good information and expansion news, and not just new cards. I'd like to hear that they're either doing something for the fireside gatherings, something for esports, or something for an integrated tournament mode. And I know in Ducharme's email, we'll talk about it next week. He had some concerns about the possibility of a tournament mode. We'll talk about that hopefully next week.
Yeah.
But I would like to see a tournament mode, and I think if they do it right, it won't get rid of the need for fireside gatherings. It'll just make them stronger.
Okay. Versika?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in the same boat. This is the time of year where I really just like to sit back and watch high-level Hearthstone being played on a large stage. So, if you love watching Hearthstone, and you love watching Hearthstone tournaments, the next couple of weeks are going to be fantastic. So at this point, just waiting for BlizzCon, see what we're going to get, and just kind of enjoying the ride.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm excited about these changes for HCT next year. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out and seeing a lot more Swiss format over these double elim tournaments. I'm excited about that. So,
most importantly, I want to know what color Frodan's hair is going to be next esports season.
There you go. There you go.
That's important to me.
The hard-hitting news.
That's right.
All right, guys.
I vote green.
All right. So that if you are joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via the audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us and remind you that you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast, or find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOgamers, or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you enjoy the show, you can help to support and improve it by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/HeroPower. And remember that starting in January, all of our patrons at the $5 level will automatically be entered for a chance to play in the the Hero Power Hearthstone Invitational Tournament. And we will have cash prizes for you guys. So we are super excited about being able to do that for you, and hope you will join us in the tournaments.
And the more patrons we get, the higher the prize pool. It's going to be based off our total patronage.
That's correct. That's correct. So the more patrons we have, the better the prizes. All right, guys. Until then, we'll see you again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.
All right. Well, while we set this up, Versika, tell us a little more about Viforce.
All right. So the other the other way that I brought up the Vipforce website this past weekend is I went into Best Buy. I was talking to one of the salesmen, and he was talking about actually one of the Vipforce competitors, and I was just like, hey, I'm on this podcast, and we have a sponsor, Vipforce Gaming. He's just like, oh really? I'm like, yeah. So I brought up the website. I showed him the computers, and we were going through the website, and showing him the prices and what they had spec'd in, and he was legitimately impressed. And he's just like, well, he goes, with us, he goes, you've got you can get the Geek Squad protection, and da 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 da. And I was just like, yeah, but if you read the top section of the computer, the actual computer page where you get to look at the different machines they offer, it says, our computers are backed with the Vipforce guarantee. All of our products have been tested and benchmarked to meet the advertised 3D Mark performance. If anything on your computer breaks in the first 6 months of purchase, send your PC back to us and we'll fix it free of charge, and they'll even pay the shipping. It was better than anything that he could offer me in Best Buy at the time. So it's, once again, great machines, great customer service, and this is almost a free 6-month warranty that you don't even have to pay for. It's included in the cost of the machine.
Awesome.
So check them out, ViPorceGaming.com, or go to HeroPowerHS.com and click on the Viforce link.
There you go. All right, Zerotio, you ready to show us how you did this?
I'm regretting everything. Oh my GOG. Gangs of Gadget Sand.
Right.
GOG.
You have already coined the phrase.
Oh my GOG. Okay, I'm going in. Oh, GOG.
This is just going to be awful.
All right.
I hope now I don't want it to be Gangs of Gadget Sand.
Because you don't want it to be GOG?
Oh, GOG. Another expansion.
All right, so we've got, surprise, Shaman.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
No, it's not. All right,
I can't wait for the new expansion just so you can complain about another class again.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize how bad it was. Like, you got 6 months of Shaman. Oh no.
I think we ditched the whole
8 months of Shaman.
All of this to try to get some early removal.
I think so too.
I think
It was Shield Slam, Ironforge Portal, Gromosh, and Revenge. Revenge might be a keep, but honestly, by the time we get low enough, we'll hope for other removal.
They're going to be playing 1/3s out of the gate, so Revenge is probably not going to do a whole lot of good.
Not early on, no.
Yeah.
It'll be good to get mid-game when we drop below that 12. Now, in this matchup, you usually will want to save your armor building. And this is good. Fiery War Axe and Slam is really good in your opening hand. But you want to save your armor cards, and we're just going to pass turn 1.
Okay.
Because we drew an Ironforge Portal. And using the coin's not very good unless they threw out something immediately.
Matt at Arms says Tempo Storm and Vicious Syndicate are to blame for Shaman.
Yeah.
I just
would agree.
I just hope that this new aggro hunter takes over the ladder again, and you guys.
Now this could be the
Matt at Arms says, "Oh yeah, and the OP cards."
This could be a totem variety. I'm gonna go ahead and just hero power up.
Okay.
I don't want to reveal the Fiery War Axe too soon. I want them to think I don't have it. If this is the totem variety, we'll know pretty quick. If he just keeps toteming.
Overpowered cards. You mean like Divine? What is the? Sorry,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I've got a headache.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
I
Shaman
have no
card
clue
where you get to draw equal to what your opponent has in their hand.
You mean the Paladin card? Divine Favor? Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, Kill Command is what, 5 damage for 3 mana without having to pay Overload?
All right, so the obvious play is Fiery War Axe, but that's not really great on 3 mana. And we got a pretty good 4 mana turn with our 2-cost stuff. So I'm actually going to coin out the Elite Starseeker.
Okay. Because
it threatens the board really well.
Yeah. And I think Matt at Arms is just trying to poke the Forsaker for fun. We have to talk to him.
That's okay.
Yeah. Now, the main reason I wanted to do this also is they're only on 2 mana because of the overload. So they can't hex this. Honestly, the Flame Tongue Totem isn't that great.
So now, do you drop your fiery war axe here and go to town, or do you drop the infested Tauren?
I like the infested Tauren here only because I just drew in a brawl.
Okay.
You already had a brawl.
Well,
Yeah,
but I would want to save that brawl, but because now I know I have my second brawl.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That way I know if I use the brawl, he's going to flood the board again, and I can go ahead and use the second one.
I gotcha.
And then we're going to go ahead and knock out the 2/3 wolf.
Right. That makes sense.
Because it would just be back to a 4/3 anyways. So now I'm hoping he gets down a thing from below. Flame Wreath Faithless is faceless, not faithless. It's kind of out of favor.
So he's going to Lightning Bolt Elise, which gives him 1, and then he's going to Hex.
Wow. That's
really good value. That lets you know that he doesn't have much in his hand.
Yeah.
This isn't really a brawl board to me,
No,
though.
it's not.
No.
It's not. But this could be a turn for an Ironforge portal.
Yeah.
That or Armor Up and Fiery War Axe, the 4/3.
If I had Vengeance in my hand, that would be a consideration. But let's Ironforge portal and see what we get off that. There have been some really good 4-drops that I've gotten.
Okay.
Demented Frostcaller is a good one.
Hey, there's a 4/4.
That's actually good because that's going to make him run his 4/3 into it. And this is where I hope he overcommits the board. Okay, that's good. He got rid of the taunt for us. So now we can actually run our Fiery War Axe into the Flame Tongue Totem, negating 4 damage.
Okay.
So what about a slam on the
Flame Tongue
and then a Ravaging Ghoul?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Because that gives us a card draw. I wish we had 1 more mana because we'd also finish off the Azure Drake. The biggest problem with that is the Azure Drake will get healed up next turn.
Yeah, but you're really removing 4 damage from the board anyway.
The important part's the 4 damage, and getting the card draw is nice. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, you can use that next turn to clear
Sure. To help in clearing the Drake. Unfortunately, hopefully he runs the Drake into the 3/3, but he probably has something for that, like Spirit Claws.
Yeah.
Maybe another Lightning Bolt.
Our chat has come to a consensus that this is the totem list running Bloodlust.
I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they're 100% correct.
All right. Now this is
I think this is a brawl board.
Brawl into Fiery War Axe, probably.
We'll see what we get out of it.
You got a 50-50 chance of... Actually, no. You got a 1 in 5 chance, 2 in 5 chance of getting something that the War Axe doesn't kill anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you did.
So I'd say we just armor up.
Yeah.
And then if we have to, we can bash in War Axe next turn. I'm surprised we haven't seen Thunderbolt Valiant yet. Another thing from below. Well, that's not hard to get rid of. We can Fiery War Axe and bash that. Then after that, we'll probably only... Yeah, we'll have to hero power. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You want to make sure to hit it first. So now we're in our revenge range.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So we're under 12 health. So now, anytime we can gain armor, we need to.
Right.
Really would like to draw into our Justicar True Heart. Oh, wow.
I'd really like to draw into a revenge.
Yeah, revenge would be real good. But
Well-
we have a 4 and 5 chance of getting something we can kill with our axe if we brawl.
Well,
Yeah, I
and
think
also
you brawl.
if you play the infested Tauren first, you know if it doesn't live, you're going to at least have a 2/2 on the board.
Yeah, but that taunt's going to be pretty valuable with that bloodlust.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think putting the taunt out, and depending what drops, we might put out the Eater of Secrets instead.
Yeah, and Matt at Arms said that the Trogs pretty much say this is the standard mid-range list, and I think he's right. I think he probably just got a really terrible draw.
Possibly. We want to see Ezra Drake. There we go.
Excellent.
Now, what do you guys think of just Eater of Secrets?
I think that's pick off totems.
I mean, I like the armor here.
Yeah.
Should we armor and Fiery War Axe? Choices.
I think you probably hold the axe, play around.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
just play
I'll
the
just-
Eater.
Yeah, that way
Yeah,
you're
just
playing
drop the
around
Eater.
Harrison.
He's going to
Hughes.
have to be on Lava Burst, and
Yeah, and
Lava
Earth Totem.
Shock. You really need that revenge.
That revenge is, yeah, we really want the revenge.
Shield
Okay,
Shield block.
shield block for revenge. That's not a revenge.
I think you have to play Infested Tauren here
Yeah, and armor up.
and armor up. I think
Do we knock off the Stoneclaw?
Yes, because
Yeah.
it'll
It'll
get
be a
big.
4/2.
Yeah.
yeah.
We really need to draw into one of our 2 revenges. I'm surprised.
He may
we
be
haven't.
running it. He may be running a one-off Bloodlust.
Could be.
Mm.
He really doesn't like that death rattle. He hexed the other one. Oh
Not drawing anything we need.
no. This is kind of a tough spot.
What do you think about using Grom to clear one of the taunts and
Yeah, that's pretty much our.
I don't. Hold on. Let's see. What about Cairn
Okay.
armoring up? And I mean, you're going to waste the execute, but wasting the execute on
2/1.
the 2/1. That at least is going to give you pressure into the Grom turn next turn and put you out of lethal range, I think.
Yeah. It feels bad, but I think that might be the winning line if there's a chance for us to win. Obviously, Bloodlust kills us.
Right.
He's been really focusing on getting rid of
4,
taunts.
5, 7, 10,
Well, he totaled.
14. Yeah, so
Rag?
Oh, he's YOLOing.
yeah.
We needed to hit Karen,
Game.
and it hits our face.
Yeah.
That was tough.
All right, let's try it again.
It was a rough matchup. I think it was not being able to identify the shaman was the hard part there.
Well, not drawing your revenge early prevented
Yeah.
you from being able to do anything but clear with Brawl.
I mean,
And that's just going to be hard every time.
it pains me to keep it in my mulligan, in my opening hand, because you usually don't use it till like turn 6 or 7.
Right. All right, so we've got a hunter this time. Do you think we keep the Eater of Secrets?
I think we keep the Eater Secrets and the Acidic Swamp Ooze. What do you guys think?
Well, they're probably going to try to get into a bow early, and probably also try to drop
secrets.
Cloaked Huntress.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see the value in it. That's just, we're going to be behind from the start, so.
Well, usually we start by just armoring up anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, just pitch the portal, I guess.
We're gonna negate the first couple turns of board, and actually Brawl's pretty good pickup. We're gonna negate the first few turns by just armoring up.
Yeah.
It's very common with this deck, especially with this matchup, knowing that I have the tech cards for it. And Infested Tauren works out really well. Oh, and the Revenge will be good too. We'll just armor up and pass.
Yep.
And late game, it's important to keep your armor up going because it negates their hero power. And if you can get Justicar out, it's even better.
Okay.
Yeah, Nibble Swap brought up a good point. How good is the bow if you take away all their secrets?
That's true. Oh, there's Justicar. That'll be good for 6. So we're gonna armor up again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then next turn, drop the Infested Tauren.
Well, we're not going to get all of their secrets because a lot of times they have 2 copies and we only have 1 Eater of Secrets. So we're not going to necessarily get all of their secrets. We hope to get more than 1.
Matt's asking, what do you think about a Chill Maw and something else instead of the 2 Infested Taurens?
Well, I don't run dragons in this lineup. So the Chill Maw
wouldn't trigger.
Really wouldn't trigger any. And the 2 Infested Taurens give good board pressure.
All right, so that's what you're going with this turn, right, as Infested Tauren?
I think so, yeah. It looks right to me. And right now I'm not too worried about taking damage, especially now we got the Revenge.
I don't think he's going to play around Brawl. I think he'll run the Grandmother in to get the Death Rattle.
You think so?
I think he'll run it into the Ooze.
No, I would think you'd want to run into the Leok, but...
Nope, he triggered.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Okay. This really isn't a Brawl turn.
No.
That's a lot of damage, though. You got 10 on the board.
It is.
You do have both Brawls in hand.
I do. And especially with having the Revenge, which will kill most things.
Yeah.
We could Brawl to bait him to fill the board up.
I think Brawl is your play here.
Yeah.
Think so? And hope the Infested Tauren stays?
Mm-hmm.
I think the worst would be Leok. That's right down the middle. It's okay. I think we might end up Justicar next turn.
There's the high main.
The high main. You think Karen or Justicar?
I think he's going to go face regardless.
And he's showing 11.
Showing 11, he's probably got a kill command in hand, so you can go ahead and pretty much play that out as 16, 18 with the hero power, so you've got to hope that he doesn't have
1 point somewhere.
Do we use a slam to clear the 3-2?
And what are you going to play? I guess you got Eater of Secrets on top of it?
We can, just to get something on the board. We still don't get on.
I don't see as how you have much of a choice.
Yeah, Nibble says it's too late for Justicar.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the ooze?
No, because you're still going to want to take out that bow if it comes up. I'd say the ooze is more valuable than the eater right now. Plus, you just played Eater of Secrets on an empty board. If he has secrets in his hand, he might be wondering if he needs to get rid of it and prepare for another.
Well, he did have the kill command. You drew it out.
And he cleared.
And
he threw out the bow.
Yep.
So that looks like we drew out both the kill command and the bow.
Mm-hmm. So
and we're within range for revenge, but
I'd
like to do it
shield block revenge and eaters and acidic swamp ooze this turn.
Let's shield block and see what we draw. Axe. I don't think that changes things too much. Go ahead, swamp ooze. And honestly, revenge only takes 2 damage off the board. Armor up does the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
So just armor up?
Go ahead and armor.
Okay. That's interesting.
Okay, I think you have to brawl and then
revenge. The high main has to die.
Yeah, high main's got to die. I think it depends on what comes out of the brawl. I think if the Houndmaster comes out of the brawl, you have to revenge. If it's the spotter, then I think you go ahead and armor up.
Well, we're still going to have the other 2 twos. Oh, that's not good.
No, I think that's game.
Yeah, that is game because
it is game. Yeah.
With armor, so this is the right play.
Yeah.
Seppuku.
All right.
Yeah.
And like Versika said before, that this deck is really good in tournaments, maybe not so much on the ladder.
I've done really well on the ladder, but again, the times I do really well on the ladder, I'm seeing a little bit more slower decks and not so much board flooding quick decks. Your aggro decks aren't even, they're mid-range decks, and this struggles against some of the mid-range decks.
Yeah, and Nibble Swap says Hunter's a tough matchup for Control Warrior.
I think right now I'm thinking you're seeing Hunter switch back from a mid-range into more of an aggro.
Yeah.
And I think people are playing it as more of an aggro, and I think you guys are going to be wishing for aggro shaman by the time it's over.
The lineup is, if you look at the lineup of the deck, it is a true mid-range deck. But it's, like you said, they play it very aggro-tensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk final thoughts of the play portion. I know we just kind of touched on it, but Zerotio?
I'm still a huge proponent of Control Warrior. I think it does really well in certain metas, and it's kind of a staple in tournament play still to this day. So if you are practicing for a Fireside Gathering or local tournament, or even some of these opens online, give Control Warrior a try. A lot of the times, if you run Shaman, they won't ban Warrior, and you want a strong Warrior. And Dragon Warrior usually comes up short. And if they fear Control Warrior, they might ban Warrior, and you have a chance to play Shaman, which is strong right now in the meta, and both for ladder and for tournaments.
Okay. Versika?
I think Control Warrior can be effective in any of the sub-metas. I think you're seeing it in the 10 to 15 sub-meta right now, and I think it's one of the hardest spots for Control Warrior. I think you have to your Control Warrior almost has to be a more board-centric control. if you're playing in the 20 to 15 level range, I think taunt is your friend, because you're going to be running into a lot of aggro, and you're going to have to force them to trade. You're not going to be able to control the board as much as you're going to have to force them to make bad decisions. But I think Control Warrior can be effective in both of those ranges. I think once you get past 10, I think a list such as the one we played tonight, I think the meta slows down a little bit, and I think this particular list becomes a little more viable.
Yeah. So let's talk. See Me No More in chat brings up a pretty good point. Do you feel Cthulhu Warrior is maybe stronger right now than the Control Warrior?
I do.
I think it would be right now. If you asked me about a week and a half ago, I would have said no. The big benefit of Cthulhu Control Warrior over Standard Control Warrior is, or your regular Control Warrior, is that Cthulhu is a little more aggressive and pushes for more early damage, as well as building up armor. Whereas the Control Warrior I'm playing is all about building your armor up and sustaining through that damage.
I think the Cthulhu Warrior, the way that I play mine at least, I'm very aggressive in removal early, and then relying on the late game Cthulhu cards to stabilize through Twin Emperor and the Shield Bearer, and using Cthulhu as almost like a third brawl. I think right now allows you to be a little more adaptive to aggro mid-range and then sort of a mid-range control. Control Warrior is always going to be good in control matchups, so I think it gives you the most versatility.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us this week. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Also, we did get the, as I promised on last week's show, we did get the Contact Us form fixed, so you can now use it to send emails directly to the show. Just go to heropowerhs.com and click the tab that says Contact Us. Fill in the blanks, and we'll do the rest. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube or give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. And for more details on the Hearthstone, the Hero Power Hearthstone Invitational Tournament, check out patreon.com/HeroPower. And as always, guys, good gaming.
Hi, guys. Have fun.
Loktar Thrall.